Hello? Are we working now? Hello? Okay. Well, hopefully this is going. Yeah, I just got done drawing my latest comic page, and I figured I would stream the editing process of it for, like, the digital part. And now I'm going to pick out some music to put on in the background. Let's see what we got here. Oh, what's this? This a decent one? Ah, whoa, whoa, whoa. Ah. Well, that blew out my eardrums. Hold on. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, enough of that. That was not expecting the loudness there. Ugh. Let's see, what should we put on? Hey, a handgun or pumpkin, how are you doing? I guess welcome to my first stream that you've been on. I hope you can hear me, and that if the music ever gets too loud, be sure to tell me. It's not something I can judge that well on my end sometimes. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Finally setting down to work after all this connection issue stuff. So yeah, how have you been doing, handgun? You are the first person here today. Yeah, I usually think of you as Pumpkin, but ever since I've been seeing the handgun screen name, I've been thinking of you as that in my head, so... Sorry things haven't been working out the best on Game Facts for you. Yeah, I just spent all morning drawing up this comic page, and now I'm finally getting to the part where it's on the computer and I can actually edit it. Preferably, I'd be able to, like, stream the physical part of making these comic pages as well, but it's, I don't quite have Doug to Naples set up or anything. Oh, I guess... Yeah, we haven't had too much snow here this year. I'm over in Ohio. I guess since you're all the way up in Canada, that'd be a lot more prevalent there. My survival horror video game idea from back in high school took place, well, not in Canada, but in Alaska. Yeah, I'm sure after enough time away, you'll probably want to interact with Game Facts again. Do I have this? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Well, hopefully the snow isn't too bad there. Yeah, hopefully at some point I really do hope to get a video game actually made, whether it's my Xeno Hunter idea or my survival horror idea or my side-scrollers I had thought up back when I was 7. those actually tie into the comic stuff here, but those old ideas I had when I was little pertain to adventures like in the 90s, 2000s time period, and these comics take place in, I think the 2300s or something. It's like centuries after our time period. All of our societies get wiped out like in starting in 2008. I think it's by 2027 or something that the war comes to an end, but like every civilization on Earth is eviscerated by that point. Oh yeah, I've done plenty of animations and stuff of the Xeno Hunter things over the years. I've always had it in my head that the Xeno Hunter stuff takes place, probably in our time period, but it doesn't really matter because it's so far out in outer space that it does not affect the Earth stuff at all. Hello, Daniel. How are you doing today? I just figured I'd stream making one of the comic pages. Well, editing it. This is what I always go through, and every other day, so I figured maybe let the viewers see how it goes. And usually takes about 4 or 5 hours to do this digital editing process of it. About 4 or 5 hours to physically make the page beforehand. Is the music alright? Can you guys hear it? Is it too loud, too soft? Oh, I'm doing alright, all things considered at the moment, Daniel. The program I'm using, what I've always used is GIMP. I forget what that stands for, but it's like GNU Image Manipulation Program. It's basically whatever Adobe can do, but just a different program. Alright, we got all that selected. Yeah, what I do is areas, and then I make this translucent. Oh, well, I guess that means I should turn up the music. That any clearer? But yeah, I make this translucent. Let's get rid of the free select outlines. You do Control T to do that. Get rid of the white background so I can see. And then, let's see here. How do I select? Yeah, this is a different version of GIMP than is on the other computer. Normally I work on a Windows 7, but this is my newer Windows 10, and I'm not used to all the differing commands here. Let's see. So... no. Not that. Here it is, okay. Paintbrush. And... size. And then we just... since all of this is selected, we just go along here. And just fill it in. make sure everything is white along the outside of the panels. The inside, it gets a bit trickier, but it's not, like, too complicated. Yeah, there we go. Make sure we got the edges. Okay. Yeah, the intent is to just get everything white so that it's nice and clean, because if this ever gets printed on, like, actual paper, you're going to want the, like, outside of the page all clean and everything. This is the easy part of the editing process. The hard part is getting all the blacks black. That requires the tablet and stylus to take care of. But this part's relatively simple. Okay. I think we got all of that. Airbrush, paintbrush, airbrush, okay. And then, zoom in. Normally, when I'm selecting stuff, I have it at 100% magnification. Once I get into the, like, fine editing of the pen stuff towards the end, it gets into, I think 200%, but here's what we're doing at the moment is, what I'm doing here is not a full paintbrush. The full brush makes it completely solid white. In the interior areas between the panels, it would take, well, what I used to do, it took like days to do the comic pages the old way I used to do. And I would try to get everything all spick and span and all this stuff that the reader is not going to notice, that just I notice because it's so close up and I want to have it nice looking. But what I do now is if I see a darker area, I'll go in and whiten it up. And that's about all that I do, and along the edges what I'll do is airbrush in white, not full like paintbrush, just airbrush. And let's get rid of that to make it easier. And just airbrush it in so that you know once it gets towards the edge it will be completely white. And that'll be enough for, like, if it gets printed ever, so that it transitions into the white when it gets to the edge. The reader isn't going to really notice unless they're studying it, and with how my pages are, they probably wouldn't notice anyway. But yeah, this is just how it's done for my pages these days. But now I can pretty much get a page done every other day if I'm trying hard enough. With how things have been going with, like, Grandma and the body pains and my body pains and all that stuff. It depends if I'm up to it at times. I feel like I kinda let viewers down a lot now, because I'm not getting as much made as I used to. Like, main page back up to 100. And then just check if there's any completely, like, dark spots you need to lighten up, like, maybe along here. It's not that hard of a thing to check for once you have it all mapped out and stuff. Yeah, there we go. And did the music ever get audible for you guys, or is it still silent? Bang, 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 bang. Alright. Yeah, usually if I do something like these panels that lay over other panels, my hand will have smudged the graphite along the edge and I'll have to whiten up the areas a bit. Okay. Yeah, I usually don't really mess much with the bottom part. I figure if that gets printed, the bottom will already be at the bottom, so there's not much use in, like, trying to transition to something that's not gonna be seen. Okay, the clone stamp. Alright, I think... let's save this. Okay. And... I think that's good. So, what I'm gonna do now is take the clone stamp and see if there's any little blotches that I need to really rectify. I always need to, because my scanner is not the cleanest, so there's always little specks to, like, edit out and stuff. Yeah, it's a Donkey Kong Country track. Boom, 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 boom. Let's heighten it a bit. Oh, and if you guys are behind at all, remember you can always move the bar to the end of the timeline so it catches up to what I'm currently saying. Yeah. This isn't as... I don't like the clone stamp as much on this computer. It takes more effort to... Yeah, this is... Is there any way to get it... smooth stroke? Yeah, Rareware always made the best everything. Best music, best gameplay, best animation, all that stuff. Smooth stroke, apply jitter, lock brush, hard edge. Hard edge? Will that change it? No, not really. Yeah, there. Yeah, this clone stamp is not the best. Perspective clone, what's that? That doesn't even do anything. Alright, I guess I'll just work with what I got here. Yada. Okay. Well, if you guys like Rareware, I do have other tracks of theirs. Let's see. Yeah, no. Water? No. Give me a sec, I'm looking for another piece of music to put on. Hollow Descent. Oh, that's what this is. Bam. 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 Yeah, here's a track from my Xenohunter video game idea. Made it in Pulse Boy years ago. Wow. Yeah, I really want to make that game someday. I forget where exactly I had that track planned to play. I think it might have been when you were getting lower into the planet. Yeah. Please get off there. Okay, we do not need that on repeat forever. Let's see, what else do I have to play here? Some Bionicle music, Mystical Ninja, Earthworm Jim, Eternal Engine. Oh. Jurassic Park. Okay. Everyone loves Mystical Ninja. This one's from Jurassic Park, I think it's the SNES game, but I think, yeah, it's the SNES one. I used to listen to, well, I still listen to music a lot when I'm working. I used to make fanfics to music and stuff while I worked. I know this is such riveting commentary. Yeah, for me, when I listen to music, I prefer that it's without words so I don't get distracted while I'm working. Obviously, if it's in my free time, I'll just have, anything playing, but... Well, thank you. I do try. I guess I have been making videos long enough that I do know how to commentate a bit. Do we have... Ah, here we go. The Gorillaz video that, is blocked in America. And arguably my favorite song they have ever... I have so much music saved up on my computer. Some of these tracks I have from, like, my old computer I had from, like, God, like, over 7 years ago now. But I have, like, so much stuff saved up over the years. It's so many videos and movies, and I've got all sorts of shows on my hard drive. Lost my mind. Yeah. And I do have, I think, every Gorillaz video ever created. Even the ones that are not able to be shown in certain countries. Why am I zoomed in at 300? That's the problem. I'm not gonna get anything done if I'm that close. I'll just be looking at every little speck. Yeah, but all these areas here, like Doko here, his hair, his arm pieces, his leg pieces, they're all supposed to be black. And it's nighttime right now in the comics, so the sky's gonna be black. And basically, I just do all the blacks on the computer now. Because, one, there's no point in doing the blacks graphite-wise, because it's gonna reflect anyway on the scanner at some parts, so it's better to just do it all on the computer, so it's pure black. And then it just took forever. It wasted so much time doing it all in black to just go over it again for so many years. But nowadays I just handle it digitally. My dad has some tremors in his hand now. He says he can barely write, and I can feel my hand shake a bit when I press hard enough for, like, the blacks and stuff, so I want to decrease the chances of that, happening to me sooner in life than later, if it's in the genetics. Want to keep drawing for as long as I can. I guess that's part of why I draw so much to begin with. Yeah, Gorillaz are always a good time. Oh. Is this... Oh, this is the, Japanese opening theme song for Transformers Animated. There we go! Japanese always get the best stuff. Why am I zoomed in that far? Stop doing that. I used to come up with ideas for what the openings for my version of Transformers would be, and this was one of the theme songs I had in mind. I have, like, the scenes for how it'd go playing out in my head while this plays. Transform. Go. Yeah, Transformers Animated's probably going to be my favorite, or arguably my favorite Transformers series forever. The only real competition is Beast Wars. Because that is just an amazing show. The Mainframe is one of the best cartoon makers ever, so that's kinda to be expected. All I can do, all you can do, transform. Yeah, it's kinda hard to beat Beast Wars, it's just such a perfect show. Like, a Transformer show, it's great. A show, it's great. Science fiction, it's great. And that Megatron, the Beast Wars Megatron, is like one of the greatest villains ever created. I don't really refer to... I call him Megatron because that's the name he goes by. But I never think of him as like the Autobot Decepticon Megatron because it is two different characters in the story. It's like some terrorists deciding to call themselves Hitler is all. All you can do. And go. Transform. And, oh yeah, it's a different Optimus. It's Optimus's descendant, is what Optimus Primal is. The Optimus Prime is like a little paradox thing going on in that show. Like, especially for a Transformers thing, of all things. Because at that point, Transformers was pretty garbage when it came to, like... G1 is fun, but it is not comparable. It's not a good cartoon. It's a funny one, but it's bad. It's memorable, but it's not well crafted. Okay, let's see. Alright. Get this out. Switch over to the calligraphy tool. Go to that layer, actually make this layer. Put the background one back on. And now, this is how the inking goes. Just take the calligraphy tool, remember to hit the smooth stroke here, so that it's not all jittery. And then just go along and make whatever's supposed to be black complete. It goes on 4 hours, especially when this guy here, Doko, my hero character, is on the page, because he has so much black on his design. A severe mistake for anyone looking to make an easy comic. Okay. What's this one? Oh, this is like an old, I think 40s or 50s movie soundtrack. Why do I have this? Oh, here we go. Mega Man ZX. I love listening to Mega Man music. Especially the arranged versions. They're just so incredible. And another video game idea I've always had, a fan idea, is doing the final Mega Man X game. Which I know all the fans have their own version, but mine would be the best because I made it. So, yeah, I'd follow up on Axel being infected in X9. Yeah, you can't beat a good Mega Man. I think my favorite Mega Man might be... It's either X4 or 03. Those are like the two... And Mega Man Legends. That's obviously amazing, but... Silent Hill F. Did not F. Obviously everyone's talking about the new Resident Evil movie. Although Xenohunter was a bit inspired, a tiny bit, by Mega Man ZX. It'd have a whole side-scroller, but also Metroidvania type thing going on. I think I have all the Resident Evil movies, the CGI ones, not the live-action ones. I think I have all those, except for Vendetta, on my computer. Yeah, because I used some of them to make the summary videos I did of Resident Evil the other year. Well, if you want to go in order for Mega Man, it goes the classic games, and then the X games, they're like a few hundred years later. Then the Zero games are a few hundred years after the X games. ZX is a few hundred years after Zero. And Legends is at the very end, a few hundred years after that. Just to give you a little timeline. And the Zero games are easily the darkest part of the franchise. In America, though, they edit out all the blood, or I guess mech fluid that's red, to look like blood. So we've never gotten a censored version outside of Japan. Did I say censored? If I did, I meant uncensored. I'm not holding out too much hope for Jill myself. She's... It felt to me like the scene of her, like her face, looked like it was a flashback to like Raccoon City, because she was just... like, she looked exactly like she did in the remake of 3. And if she's a part of it, I doubt they're really going to do much with her, like, because it's Chris and Leon in one movie. Obviously, unfortunately, they'd focus on them. One of the problems with the series at this point. Although it does take place in 2015. I think it's before 6. Oh well, Silent Hill has done, like, Shepherd's... Was it Shepherd's Glen or something? For Downpour? That wasn't in Silent Hill for that one. Although I do wish that they would have things be less, less it's all the mind type of thing for Silent Hill, because in the first one, in the third one, it did legitimately seem like things were manipulating them to bring about the resurrection of a god, instead of that just being what had formed because of the mental consciousness. But they hardly do Silent Hill to begin with, so it is nice to see them doing something, at least. Okay, yeah, it was Homecoming. I was figuring I was getting Downpour wrong. Downpour's the one with the police officer and the inmate. Okay, I was right about the 2015 at least. And just forgotten when 6 took place because who gives a damn about that one? Yeah. Yeah, Capcom does not really have the best reputation when it comes to the number 6. Mega Man X, Resident Evil, and that's the only ones I'm thinking of right now. Oh, I hear Grandma out there. Yeah, I'm not even done with this first comic panel yet. And Doko here, the guy that I'm doing the blacks for right now, kind of a complete idiot. He's the hero of the comics, but he's a moron. But he knows how to fight, and always wants to help people. And his friends have entered him in a fighting tournament, because after the previous saga, they have run out of money. So they're trying to get him to win the whole thing, and they're betting on him to, like, make more money. The winner gets, like, all the prize money and stuff. He still has one opponent left to face, which will be the final match of the comic. Right now he's heading out to look for his friend, who he hasn't been able to see in the audience. Yeah, there's a bunch of idiot protagonists throughout anime. It's kind of become a trope at this point. The one I usually think of is Ed from Ed, Edd n Eddy, but he's not really a hero so much as just a kid. He could absolutely demolish some anime characters, though. And I remember, well, I didn't give Doko the goggles, but I gave the guy that came... Doko looks the way he does, story-wise, for a reason that I can't really get into at the moment because it's like major spoilers. But the goggle aspect has to do with all the protagonists of Digimon. They always had goggles, so I incorporated that into the design back when I was like 10 or 11 years old, I think. Yeah, for me, I'm of the opinion that if a video game series, if I don't trust the company, that's making the games anymore. I'd prefer the series just end and stay dead, so that it remains good. And Metal Gear is a lost cause at this point. Peace Walker and 5 just muddy up the backstory, and beyond that, it's like, it's long past time for that series to just be gone. Its story was told. We had our laughs. I actually had a tradition where when my brother would make apple cider, I'd play Metal Gear Solid 4. That was how I did that game. And yeah, the main characters of my stuff, well, the first one I ever made was Barbot, which is this robot guy. And he's, like, extremely important for the world that the comics take place in. And I made him when I was 7. I made King Shadow the villain back then, at the same time. I'd set them on an island called Silver, because I used to tell my brother that if you collected all the silver coins in Diddy Kong Racing, it would let you go to another island called Silver. And that's basically how my whole universe that I do my characters in got started back when I was little. And it's just evolved from there. Well, Konami's always wanted to get rid of Kojima. They have never liked him. Like, even before Metal Gear Solid, they did not like him. It's just, they finally were able to get rid of him, so he probably finds it more relaxing to not be working with them at this point. Metal Gear. I always wish they would have done remakes of the first 2 Metal Gear games. Those were the ones that needed to be remade, and they never did them. And now that it's like after 5, they just mess it all up probably with all the stuff they've come up with since then. Eh. But at least I guess people can play them through, like, the Metal Gear Solid 3 subsistence stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much how Konami works. They do not like money. Otherwise, we'd be getting Mystical Ninja all the time. That's a series they just don't even bring to America usually because they think it's too Japanesey for the West. Just idiotic, but yeah. Since I grew up with, like, the Japanese tapes of Dragon Ball my parents had, it was just normal to me, all the stuff that was in Mystical Ninja. I always wanted to have, like, a house with the Japanese sliding doors and stuff because of that game, and live in, like, the village in the snow towards the end of the 64 game and stuff. Yeah, here's a mystical ninja track. This was one of the tracks I had playing when I was, like, driving to Ohio when I first came back here. Yeah, this track comes from the second 64 game, but it's a version that was, like, remade for the patchy slot Mystical Ninja games. Yeah, just always love that whole feudal Japan, but with giant robots and aliens and stuff. Just so ridiculous. I mean, how can you not make games of that? It writes itself. I actually beat... Oh yeah, that's the giant robot, Wise Man. He made one that looks like Goemon, and that's Impact. Dash dash dash. I think that and the theme song of the game were made by the guy that did the original Dragon Ball's opening song, Makafushigi Adventure. I will never get over how they never brought the second opening of Dragon Ball to America. You only ever get to see the first one on the DVDs. Because the tapes we had, that my parents had, it ends at Piccolo Daimyo, where Krillin gets killed. And that episode, that final episode on the tape where that happens, starts with the second introduction, which has Piccolo and stuff in it. But they never show that in America, because they couldn't get a version without the credits. So they couldn't make a version that had just English credits. Cannot stand it. That happened. I love that intro so much. And I never knew in Mystical Ninja back then that Sasuke's name was Sasuke. With how it was spelled, I thought he was called Sasuke. Because I thought he also said that when he'd attack, like, Sasuke. And I didn't realize until years later that the Japanese pronunciation is Sasuke. Oh, and if you like Mystical Ninja Handgun, I do have a picture I've made of Mystical Ninja on my DeviantArt. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix Tesley's eye here. She's kind of just got these dead, staring off into the distance eyes. Or I might leave it like that, just to have it kinda comedic. Tesley is the girl of the group. She's an archaeologist that digs up stuff from our time period to make money. And Mech next to her is the pervert of the group. He's the mechanic that's like a super genius. He was like after her the entire first saga, and they finally got together at the end of it. They'll have a very rocky relationship throughout the series. Well, all my stuff is readily available for you to look at over on DeviantArt. Almost felt like doing the end of the video. If you like what you see here, then head on over to the DeviantArt, and here is my Patreon, and here is bloody blah 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 blah. I do not like really doing that, but it's something that, like, at this point, you sorta have to do to really get anyone to see the other stuff you do. But it feels like you're pressuring them, and I don't like to do that. I hate the business aspect that YouTube has now. It's... business and me do not get along that well. But I always save that for the very end of the video. I don't like to interrupt people's stuff with, and today we are sponsored by blah 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 blah. And that just ruins videos. Yeah, I'm much more of the old school YouTuber. I guess I've been around since the beginning. The first video I ever saw on YouTube was a Metroid Prime 2 tribute. It was Disturbed Prayer. They'd made the person had made an AMV of it. That was the first time I ever saw YouTube. I just thought it was gonna be, oh, here's another website that videos go on. But then it became the only website that videos go on. Like, all the fan sites just stopped doing videos after that. And eventually just stopped existing. Like, Goodbye Re-Horror, Los Trace Eds, all those. Yeah, unfortunately, the digital landscape has changed quite a bit when it comes to the economic and popularity aspect. Long gone are the days where Retsupre reigns supreme on the Let's Playing community. I always liked watching Retsupre. They were pretty damn hilarious with how they criticize other Let's Players. First Let's Player I ever saw was Cloud8745. His I Wanna Be the Guy Let's Play. And then he did Gregory Horror Show and Team Fortress 2. I have some of the videos saved, but wasn't able to get all the ones I wanted before he ended up taking things down. I do have streams that Doug Tenaple did that are lost by this point, and deleted. I think I have about... I think Doug lost, like, he got hacked last year, so anything he would have had saved is gone forever. So I guess I have, like, the only copies of those particular streams at this point. But it was always magical watching him, because he'd, like, do entire comic pages and just have it on while he worked and stuff. And he'd sometimes have guests that he'd talk to and stuff. Once he got into politics and, like, working out discussions, though, I just fell asleep. But when it's about comics and video games, I can... There were some interesting stories to hear. Apparently, he animated the, Velociraptor in the Sega Genesis, Jurassic Park. It looks the way it does because it's a miniature of the raptors in the movies that Phil Tippett threw away, and he asked if he could use it, and Phil didn't care, he just let him take it. And they used the miniature to animate how it looks in the game. Yep. And that's apparently the story on the Velociraptor in the Sega Genesis one. I remember he had one of the guys that made Vector Man on one of the streams once. I forget if he was the creator of Vector Man, or if what part exactly he played, but it was like an old friend of his. Disney usually, these days, from what I see, seems to let the creators do what they want a lot of times. Definitely a step above what it has been in certain eras before this, at least. Although, with how Disney's been going, it'll probably get into another of those dull ages. Not letting the Owl House do all that it wanted to. I guess at least Amphibia got to end properly. I think Amphibia might be my favorite Disney show in, like, the modern era. Of course, right now, when it comes to animated stuff, people are just going on about Big Jack Horner in the Puss in Boots movie. Are you really gonna shoot a dog in the face? Oh no, are you really gonna shoot a dog? Yeah, in the face. Why? Just such a fun villain. I mean, Death is a very imposing villain in that movie, but when it comes to the fun villain, Jack Horner is like... He is one of the good ones when it comes to the personality aspect. Yeah, I made Tesley's eye a bit further back than it should be right here. I'll fix it in editing. What am I'm editing right now, why did I... Whatever. Yeah, I remember Samurai Jack, he trained with Robin Hood. Samurai Jack for life for me. Possibly the greatest show ever created in my eyes. Gendy's magnum opus. Yeah, Samurai Jack and Clone Wars might be my favorite Gendy stuff. Such art to it. And such little restrictions compared to the other, like Dexter's Lab and stuff. I like Dexter's Lab a lot for seasons 1 and 2. Not so much the Chris Savino stuff, because that's like an entirely different universe with different designs and different backstories. And it's nowhere near as fun. But the first 2 seasons of Dexter's Lab and ending with the Ego Trip movie, that is pretty nice. Well, I guess your sister got a good childhood movie out of that. Well, and my favorite childhood movie is, well, for Disney it'd be Aladdin, but overall it might be the original Ninja Turtles movie. I used to play that movie in the VHS player, then when you get to the end of the movie, rewind it and watch it all over again. Just sit there for hours watching that movie. The half shells were the heroes for. In this day and age, who could ask for more? Crime wave is high with mugging and mysterious. All police and detectives are furious because they can't find the source of this lethally evil force. Best show of the Turtles, though, is the 2003 one, No Contest. It pretty much perfectly translates some of the comic issues into a show format, and then builds on top of that to make its own unique and sometimes better series, original comics. Just preferably you'd have no censorship, but given that it's a children's show, that's gonna happen. Yeah, Akira is a pretty important film. It was the first one that had like all the stuff going on in the background layers, and all the background layers move separately in animation and stuff. Akira is pretty special. I keep hearing that they're gonna do a live action one, but it hasn't really happened. I don't know if it's gonna happen. I personally wouldn't care that it does. It's not something I feel works as well, and that's one thing, is making live action versions of animated stuff. I don't get that. I have never understood that. Because animated stuff works as well as it does because it's animated, it's not real people. You can do all the stuff in animation that you cannot do in real life. So, like, The Loud House, for instance. They've made a live-action version of that. I don't get that. Because all the effects that are cartoony, in that cartoony of a show, it's like, you can't do that well in live action. Akira, it's just like a work of art. And you're not going to replicate that with real people. I know there are some people that wish they'd make a more accurate to the manga version of Akira, like animation-wise. But that's really something that's not necessary to me, because the movie is so well done. Any attempt to, like, do something more accurate is just gonna make a more accurate version that looks worse. Yeah, death is usually a fun concept to play around with as a character. So many series have done it in different ways. I don't think Lord of the Rings ever really did it, or J. Tolkien, I guess. Where was... And if I ever have a show or movie of my comics, I'm gonna want it animated. I would not want live action for this stuff. Well, for Akira, the reason that it's different in the movie is because the series was not over yet. They made the movie while the series was going on. And I think the creator took a break to make the movie and then went back to the comic. It's how it was with Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind with Miyazaki. He started Nausicaa the comic like in the 80s, but he'd work on it between movies and stuff. And he did the movie, I think, pretty early on into the comic, because it was like to show that they could do a movie, so they got what he was already working on as like an easy thing to base the movie on. And then once he finished the comic, like a decade or so later, because he'd take breaks to work on the movies at Ghibli, it was like way, way far after the comic, after the movie had ended, and had a completely different ending and stuff. I know way too much stuff. Nausicaa is what I plan to be my next review I do. I'm not sure when I'm gonna get to that, though, with everything else I work on. I'm doing that in Vader Zim animation every other day when I'm not working on the comic here. Yeah. Alright. Oh, I'm gonna need to put a kanji symbol on that. I wanted to put a symbol for, like, money or betting on this, because this is the betting booth they're going to. I guess I can show how I fill in the blacks. Because you see there's all these, like, marks where it hasn't filled in. And what I do, it's at 100% magnification right now. So what I do, zoom in to 200%, because I found that when I go over this, yeah, you just fill in, go over the white lines so they're black, and everything's black then. But what I found is that if I do it at 100% magnification instead of 200, when I magnify in further, there are still some white specks I can't see at 100%. So this is when I do the 200%. So much work. So much work. Forever and ever. Yeah, I hope this isn't too boring. Usually I do, like, sketches on stream, like, here's a little face that I'm gonna get rid of because it's on the layer that I'm working on. But yeah, I just wanted to do a stream, I guess, showing how I make my comics and stuff today. And then just multiply what you see here in this video, as well as 4 to 5 hours beforehand actually drawing the page. Multiply that by half a year and you get what half a year of my life is like. I try to dedicate half of my life to doing the comic. I used to only get one comic done a year, but in the last couple of years since quitting the factory and focusing solely on the comics and all the other stuff I make, I've been able to get, I think, 2 comics made a year. 1.5 at the least. Oh, I just realized we don't have music going. What do I want to play here? I always haven't gotten enough put on DeviantArt the last week, so I'm trying to get this done. Take long. But I would prefer that rather than getting stuck into the Dragon Ball, we're here for like 5 bajillion episodes. Here we go. Dragon Ball. Alright, there we go. Yeah, I sometimes listen to this track when I'm like thinking of a certain... Well, no, I play the entire story of my comics in my head while listening to this as like an AMV. Things I haven't not gonna get to for like decades, probably. Well, I prefer pencil when I'm working on art, but the tablet and computer, just the direct connection, makes things get made and able to be put up so much quicker a lot of times for me. But my sketchbooks are still full of sketches and stuff. Yeah, you never want to lose doing pencil. Doug Tenaple described doing a digital comic as opposed to a physical one. He said that it felt like he was cheating on somebody when he did that for the first time. Dragon Ball has so many good tracks. Oh, not that anyone is really interested, but I think that Velma, the show, is finally done. Season 1 at least. Oh my god. Cannot believe that show has been able to, like... Yeah. Well, for the art, I think what it is it just takes a lot of getting used to the digital version. Because technically, digital can do everything that physical can. It's just something that your hands need to get used to, and that you have to, like, put the effort in to make it look like it was a physical thing, as opposed to what people think of as digital looking. It takes a lot of getting used to, is the thing. Yeah, pretty much nobody liked that show. Velma is that is a testament to the lowest point of humanity. Like, I've had shows that I cannot stand over the years, but every single one of them I will watch episodes of before I watch Velma. Velma is like... how do I even describe it? Velma... it tries to be so in-your-face, edgy, controversial, whatever. But it's like... that aspect, first off, is just really fucking annoying. And then, if you get rid of that, the show's boring on top of it. Like, it is boring and annoying and stupid. It is the worst of everything when it comes to, like, the story and the pacing and all that. The animation is decent, but that can hardly save anything with how the show is. I wouldn't even say it's good animation. The art is not what I would go for. The animation is serviceable, but everything else is... It makes my brain feel like it's dying seeing that show. Mystery Incorporated for life. Zombie Island, God tier. Velma, bottom of the barrel. Scrappy's beating it to death with a hammer. No. Let's put on some Sonic music. This was one of the tracks I had planned to remix for my Shadow the Hedgehog fan game. At some point, when I eventually make money, like proper money, I'll have the time to work on all my things and just not deal with anything else. It'd be so nice to just not have the interruptions. I did put up what I had made of my Shadow fan game, Shadow the Hedgehog thing, on DeviantArt though. I got sprites made of the characters and I animated Maria running. That's about the furthest I got for animations for the characters. Yeah, Sonic Adventure 2's probably... it's arguably my favorite Sonic game, alongside Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles. If they're separate, Sonic 2 beats out Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but with Sonic 3 and Knuckles together, you kinda can't beat that. Sonic Adventure 2, its soundtrack is like the best in the series. It has so much variety, and they're all good. Like, I can't think of a track from Sonic Adventure 2 that I do not like. Oh, that's just waves. Ah, here we go. One of my favorite anime opening songs. Whisper in my ear. When it comes to anime, usually the best period to me is the 80s or the 90s, though the 2000s have some pretty good ones too. Well, I am actually getting stuff done here, at least. Usually when I'm making the comic, I take breaks at parts to, like, you know, if I realize I need to get something to eat, but here, I'm just kinda stuck talking, and so I'm just working and getting stuff done. Yeah, sacrifice life for creation. That's what I always say. Oh, happy early Valentine's Day to everybody. Some years I do a picture for Valentine's Day of the comic characters, but I don't think I'm gonna do that this time. That is some guitar. Oh, I'm surprised you're still here, Handgun. I thought you had to leave in like an hour from when you first talked. But it's been great to have you. It's always nice to have company while I work. And then in the doodling streams, it's nice to have people that suggest stuff for me to draw instead of me just drawing and talking into the void. Pretending there's someone there to say something to. Yeah, this stand here, the kanji underneath it says sushi. And I guess up here, this thing is the first reference to a mystical creature that exists in the comic world, which is the sushi dragon. It's basically a line of, like, sushi rolls that has, like, a dragon fish sticking out of the front of it. And any island that it goes to, it'll like rain sushi from the clouds onto the island. And that's how that creature works. Plan for it to actually have something that it does, like participates in a kaiju battle later on in the series, but that's years away at this point. Oh well, it's good to have someone to draw with. Yoko here loves sushi. People always ask where you get your ideas from and stuff. That is such a horrible question. Creators, I don't think, like it at all, because the typical response is just, well, I made it up, and that's where it came from. Really, the answer is just, it's all the stuff you've seen throughout your life filtered through you in different ways, and it comes out as your creations. That's how that is. For my stuff, I guess it's a bit Japanesey feeling, because I've had like waitresses at Chinese and Japanese restaurants comment on it when they see me working and saying that it's like an anime and stuff. To me, it's just cartoons, because that's all anime is just Japanese cartoons. But I guess the influence is there from the years of Astro Boy and Dragon Ball and Mega Man and stuff. Astro Boy bombs away. Something, something, I forget. You were made by Tezuka, and Kimba White Lion was also... Oh, it's fine, Daniel. I'm just saying that it's like... That is the response, I think, that comes into most creators' head, is like, what are you even asking? Like... It's just a humorous observation from my end, is all. Yeah, you're far from the only one that has ever asked me that, Daniel. I had someone last week in like a bookstore ask me that, and I had someone on DeviantArt last week asking me that. It's a very regular question, don't worry. One thing I don't care for is when I sit too long talking here, it heats up quite a bit in this room, it feels like. Makes it a bit uncomfortable. Not too bad right now, it's cold enough outside, I think that it's counteracting that. Yeah, I used to... Back in Iowa a couple of years ago, I would play Doug TenNaples' streams of him making, like, his Bigfoot Bill and Earthworm Jim comic. And while he was doing that, I'd work on my own comic at the same time and have him playing in the background. That's why I saved some of his streams, was so that I would ensure that I had that to listen to while I worked sometimes. And, yeah, eventually those aren't available anymore, so it's nice that I was able to get what I did of him, at least. I try to archive as much stuff as I can of what I like. I have so many things that I've saved over the years. It's over, I think, 3 terabytes of stuff at this point. All the videos and things people have made, reactions that I like, shows that I find available where I can. Got all of Invader Zim. Totally Oko. DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, Batman Animated, Spectacular Spider-Man. Keep your hands off Izokin, Metabots. Teen Titans. I forget if I have any of Teen Titans Go, but I don't care if I do. I think I have some of My Little Pony. The good one. The Lauren Faust one. I had a chance to get, what was it called? Wander Over Yonder. I had a chance. By the time I finally got around to trying to get it, it was gone. I only got like 1 episode. But that's stuff to make videos with in the future. Yeah, they actually titled an episode of the newer DuckTales Let's Get Dangerous since it dealt with Darkwing Duck. That is one of my favorite shows ever. He's like if Batman had the biggest ego of all time. Life, the Negaverse, and everything was always one of my favorite episodes where he like goes to Negaduck's universe and you find out he's actually from an alternate like reality and stuff. It's too bad the newer DuckTales ended. They obviously would have brought Negaduck into it with how that one episode ended. And I think there were plans in the original show for like them to fight Duck Cthulhu, like a duck version of Cthulhu, at some point, but it got cancelled before they could get to that point. I think that's what it was. I think that Fowl would have turned out to have been serving Duck Cthulhu or something. It's been years since I've looked at that information, though. You know, they should make a cartoon of Resident Evil. Just make an adaptation that's wholly accurate. Just, like, make a series out of it. Don't try to make any movies. Just do a normal series and do it good. Do it right. No artistic liberties and, oh, well, this could be better. And I'm doing this and it's amazing. And I'm not realizing it's gonna fuck up the story for everything else. That's how it always seems like it goes when Capcom gets people to make, like, allows people to make movies of that series. Although with Paul Anderson, he's just... yeah. do not know how that lasted for that long. Wonder if Grandma can hear me. I don't think she has her hearing aids in. Oh, I love this song. This is one of the best remixes of all time. What you want me to be, feeling so faithless, lost under the surface. Acting of me, but under the pressure of walking in your shoes. I've become so numb, I can feel you there. I've become so much more aware. So many AMVs that used this song back when it came out. Lose control. Early YouTube had the best AMVs. There is no contest there. Simply because people don't even make AMVs anymore, except for like when I do it, and like a few others. Like, I know I Teach Vader, I think, is still doing it, but it's sort of a lost art at this point. Like you, and I know I may end up failing too. Just like me, but I wanted in you. Yeah, indie stuff these days, Daniel. The whole webtoon, web series stuff is always the way to go, because it lets you retain full control over everything. I'd do it if I could, but I don't have a team, so that's not happening. Unless you, like, wait 10 years for me to make an episode. It would be nice to see Doko animated, though, all his adventures and stuff. Whoa! There we go. Did not mean to fill the entire screen. What you want. Guess I have this on repeat. That I take is another mistake to make. Scrap brain. There we go, a bit more peaceful of music. Well, it's nice to have you guys here to hang out with while I doodle. Yeah, Out of curiosity, Handgun, do you have anybody that was, like, the worst person to put up with on GameFAQs? Because there are a few of them that get a bit trying at times. A lot of times I can't keep track of people because I just look at the posts and not at the screen names. Just respond to that while I'm working without paying attention to who's talking, really. There's a few that I pick up on from what I see being said, but a lot of times I'm just typing and working. Yeah, with how far into the future the comics are, some of the people are a bit of cyborgs at times. It's what this guy's pant leg here is sort of about. It's the implication that it's a more mechanical type of leg with these spaces in between the kneecaps and leg portions. That or it's just a style of clothing. Yeah, some of the people on GameFAQs, they get a bit irksome. The ones that annoy me the most are people that you've known forever, but that have, like, devolved into trolling, and you know that they are not. That, from what you've seen of them before, they have been genuine posters before, but it's gone now, and that person that you knew is no longer someone to communicate with. They're just there to cause trouble and be annoying. It's kind of sad and kind of irritating. Oh, you had someone that was keeping an eye on you. I had someone that would pop up occasionally on GameFAQs some time ago, but I think they eventually finally stopped coming to GameFAQs. Oh yeah, little mouse guy here. Yeah, I sometimes add little critters and stuff into the environment. I always like to have the environment itself feeling alive as possible, and feeling like an actual society. So there's cats that run around, there's little squirrels and stuff like that at times. Yeah, you might just need a break from GameFAQs is all. Usually, people don't feel like they leave forever. With how long GameFAQs has been around, I'm sure that it'll still be there if you ever decide to get back with it again. There are some people I know that have long since left and aren't coming back. That's always kinda sad, but they have their own lives to lead. At some point, paths may cross, might not. No telling what the future holds. A lot of the people I used to talk to on the Metroid boards are not there. I don't think any of them are there anymore. I'm the only one really left. I do plan to put some of them in my Xeno Hunter game, though, the little cartoon versions I made of them. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was looked at as sort of the annoying guy of the group that people just sort of put up with. That's how I probably was. And I know there are people on the Resident Evil board that do not care for me. That much is obvious. But I ain't going anywhere. Been here before, all you whippersnappers. Bow down, bow down. Yeah, to me, every fan base is pretty much the same. They're all equal levels of just bad. Bad and good. Just with different amounts of popularity is all. The same people exist in all groups. I know people went on about the My Little Pony fanbase, and people go on about the Steven Universe fanbase. It's all the same at the end of the day. They're all just fans that each have their own individual desires and personalities. I'm sure they're... Well, my stuff isn't really all that... I know people watch my stuff. Like, every time I put up pages of the comic, it gets hundreds of views. But it's, like, hard to tell what the viewers are, because hardly anyone comments on it. Except for, like, Daniel here and Hexadextrous and stuff. But as long as I get my stuff made, gotta get these stories told before I die. Or get as many as I can told before I die. Got everything all planned out for it. If you ever do commentating on a regular basis, Handgun, be sure you have a glass of water with you. It does a number on the throat. Whenever I stream, I pretty much don't do anything the rest of the day because it wears me out so much. I've been working on the comic all the livelong day. I've been working on the comic just to waste my life away. And you hear the pencil etching. Sacrifice your breakfast in the morn. And you hear the artist shouting, I am finally done. I am actually a very quiet person in real life. It's just for videos is when I do the talking. I'm the kind of guy that just goes with whatever and doesn't really put up a fight about much. Yeah, I don't really have people I interact with much in the... out here. No one really invites me to anything, so I'm always just working. This music is making me want to play Mother 3. I'm thinking of Taz-Millie Village. Such a sad game. Such a beautiful game. I've never cried at a video game, but that is probably the closest I've come to crying. Before that, it would have been Mega Man 04, because that ending is extremely sad. My dad doesn't really... well, I've seen him cry before, but it's sort of a... when you're not looking at them, they're reacting to a sad scene type of thing. Doko Rapilzo. That is his name. Yeah, Mother is Earthbound. Mother 2, specifically, is Earthbound. But it's called Mother in Japan, the series. Mother 3 never came out here. Mother 1 was translated, but they never released it. So fans have done translations of Mother 1 and 3. And 3 is probably what I would consider the best of the series. And it's the ending of the series. The creator of Mother says that he's fine with sitting back and watching what the fans make from now on. It was going to come out on the 64, and there is video footage of that version, but they never ended up doing it. It was gonna be for the 64 DD disk drive thing, but obviously that never happened. Then it got sorta cancelled, but then they finally did it on the Game Boy Advance. And it never came out in America, because of course not. Since Smash Brothers comes from Mother 2 or Earthbound is what NES comes from. See, let's get a different track on here. Let's raise the volume, lower that volume, raise this volume. There, that should be some music. This is Water Ruin from Jet Force Gemini, one of the greatest third-person shooters ever created. so much blood. That game was the first time that I'd been exposed to that much violence in a video game. It was amazing. Just fountains of blood splattering everywhere when you shoot enemies. Fuck getting 100% in that game. That's a nightmare, but the game itself is great. A rareware classic. I think this is officially the longest I have ever done a stream for. Normally it cuts out before now, and I've given up drawing by that point to begin with. But since this is a comic making day, I'm pretty much stuck here doing the comic for the entire day. Yeah, there was always a... In the old days, it was called the Kirby Standard. Jack Kirby, the king of comics, could do an entire comic book in a single, like, week. And I think that was just penciling, but still, to do that at all is unbelievable. I like to keep living, so I'm gonna have to. Stan Lee actually gave him that nickname, I think. Yeah, because he would always write the names as, like, Stan the Man Lee and Jack King Kirby. That's how it sort of evolved out of that. The old credits on the opening page thing. I think it was Jazzy John Romita was what he'd write for Romita. Jazzy John Romita. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Marvel would not exist without Kirby. He pretty much made everything that wasn't Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. So, yeah, comics would not be what they are today without him. He had so much style. The Kirby crackle, the blocky designs. He was like, if you wanted an action comic, he was the guy you got. Although he did every genre. He did romance comics, he did action comics, mystery, science fiction, everything. Whatever paid the bills. Yeah, the Hanna-Barbera stuff actually wasn't until later in life. I think he'd stopped doing comics at that point. He might have gone back to them after, but I don't think he was doing comics while he was doing the animation. And I think, no, it was... Was he on Hanna-Barbera? I want to say he was at Fleischer Brothers, working on Popeye. No, he started on Popeye at Fleischer Brothers, but he quit that and did comics. Hanna-Barbera, yeah, that'd be later in life. I do remember that he made, like was it Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur? He made that with the intent that it would be a TV series one day, that they'd make a cartoon of it someday. Obviously, that never happened in his lifetime. That was what he designed that. Oh, it's definitely true, Daniel. He was a master. Yeah, I think he had a basic understanding of anatomy, like a basic understanding of it, but it's just that he did so much stuff constantly that he cobbled together all these shortcuts to things. Because if you look at his art, at first glance it looks like, that makes no sense. But if you study it, it's like, oh, that's a kneecap. That sinew is what that line is supposed to represent. And I think that's what it is. It's like, he got his style evolved out of shortcuts that his mind was making as he worked, I think is what it is. That's my guess. Obviously, I'm not him, I can't say, but still. It's what I theorize about it. Yeah, pretty much everyone looks up to Jack for something. I remember in an interview before, there was someone that worked at, like, I think it was DC, and they were interviewing him about Jack Kirby, and the guy was telling a story about how the old-timers at the company at the time, they'd see that he was looking at Jack Kirby's stuff, and the older guys would go, oh, that's garbage, look at that. And the younger guy was like, yeah, but can you do that energy that he draws? And the older guy would, like, look at it and he'd turn it around and just sort of get all grumpy and walk away. Yeah. People from the previous era always have major criticisms towards newer stuff. It's probably part of what that was about. I just always found it kind of funny to listen to when the guy was telling it. Yeah, I think most creators come up with ideas for all different genres. I know I've certainly come up with stuff of any type of genre at this point. Daniel's familiar with my Transformers ideas and stuff. Then I got survival horror ideas with that Alaskan survival horror game. And there are other survival horror ideas, that's just the one that I've done the most over the years. Then I came up with stealth game idea. Come up with sci-fi stories I never have time to work on. There's one that's like a digital world people live in outer space. All sorts of stuff. Yeah, I can feel now when I move my body, there's definitely gonna be pains when I get up. I like to move my body. It is the song that goes on forever. Oh, and now my stomach is grumbling. I guess I'm hungry now. Click save, save. Okay. Yeah, normally I'd have taken a break with how long this middle part of the page is going on for, but since I've been talking, I kind of just stayed working and not really realizing how much time it's taken to do. You see, this is why we need that immortality virus that they were trying to make in Resident Evil. Because right now, my whole hunger thing would not be an issue if I was just able to, like, cellularly regenerate myself. It's always been impressive to me how Capcom managed to keep all the stuff that they did for Resident Evil sort of behind the scenes, like intentionally story-wise, until they decided to use certain parts of it for plot points in later titles. How Capcom is, I do not expect that level of craftiness from them. Of course, they also had Flagship working at that time, for like after 2. Luckily, I have a Pop-Tart here. Yeah, the life of a creator is not a very sympathetic one. You gotta be willing to make the sacrifices. Sacrifice happiness to make happiness. I don't know if I can hold out, like, not eating and stuff for the entire duration of making this. May have to take a break at some point. It'd just be so much easier if I had a program that could do all the blacks and whites by itself. Well, if I had a way to digitally pass the Pop-Tart through the computer screen, you could have a bite. I did have... I made apple cider the other day, like, out of... like, actually made it out of, like, real apples, and it smelled like apple pie while I was making it. It was so nice smelling. Yeah, for people watching this in the future, if you are confused by anything I'm saying, just look at what the comments are saying in the chat. I am responding. Otherwise, it'll just sound like I'm an insane person that's just talking about, like, nothing. Oh yeah, the cats were raining good today. That type of nonsense. I was kinda surprised when the Gorillaz' new song came out. I knew that it was in production, but I didn't know that... It doesn't feel like they've really promoted their latest phase as much as the past ones. Oh, is that Alcatraz they're doing, Daniel? Because I think they said that in the movie it's gonna be called Alcatraz or something. A handgun here is a pretty decent Resident Evil fan, so they know about the new movie. I don't know how many details either of you guys know, but I'm sure everyone has seen some of it on the internet at this point. Well, I guess technically Code Veronica is in a prison at first. Let's see. Shayna Island Survivor had all the, like, teenagers they experimented on imprisoned. But that's more of a backstory. You aren't held prisoner there. Oh, Revelations, I guess. Because that's also, they're holding Claire and Moria at the beginning. Yeah, other than that, I don't think there's too much in the way of prison shenanigans in the series. Revelations 2 is the only time they use Ouroboros outside of 5. Which, as far as we know, Revelations 2 is the only time you may see somebody that's actually compatible with Ouroboros. Yeah, Wesker really needed Birkin. Birkin was the absolute brains behind anything they did, like, virus-wise. For Ouroboros, it feels like Wesker made what he would claim is his masterpiece without, even if it was a failure, he wouldn't be able to, like, admit it or realize it. He'd just go along with its evolution, and nobody's worthy, so we all die. Chris. I just had this whole... I had an idea the other week where, what if Chris were compatible with Ouroboros when it got released? And Wesker just gets killed even harder. Yeah. Why does this keep going back to the fuzzy? Hope this comic page turns out okay with all stuff going on. Well, Umbrella did get into trouble eventually. Like, if the public finds out you're experimenting on humans, that is going to doom any organization. It's not something that's, like, a genius move to do. Just a risky one. With Umbrella, they just had enough influence in governments, in, like, companies and business to keep the human experimentation a secret better when compared to other groups. Until Raccoon City, then that sorta just started the downward spiral for, like, legal action against Umbrella until they were finally destroyed in 2003. They experimented on more than just criminals. The Umbrella legally, well, they would take criminals, yes. Some of those would become UBCS members as part of their military. And some of them were sent to be experimented on, like the people that qualified for being tyrants with T002 and T001. But they also kidnapped, like, homeless people and stuff, and use them to make the first hunters. And then they'd experiment on women by, like, impregnating them with hybrid embryos of human insects to make the chimeras and stuff. And those were not usually... Those wouldn't all be, like, prisoners they'd take. That'd be just normal people they'd abduct. And then there was them experimenting on children or teenagers on Sheena Island from kids they'd abducted across the world. Yeah, it's, Umbrella had ways of keeping secrets, but they were also really... They were ready to come apart at the seams. If any little accident happened, that's what would spell doom for the company, and eventually enough of that piled up with Raccoon City that it started to go down. Yeah, Umbrella, the great capitalist dystopia of zombie materials in fiction. Then Umbrella's leaders, they did not care at all. They kill whoever. Whatever led to that perfect world they were trying to create. Yeah, Resident Evil. Well, I'm finally at the bottom part of the page. Yeah, there's stuff in the comics that are sort of mutagenic viral agent type substances. Dendrite and the shadow virus sort of work as that. Although they can be pretty... shadow virus can be pretty lethal. It's part of what was used to destroy our world in our time period. Oh. Well, if you're talking about Death Island, we don't even really know what group is behind it in that one. Because the only umbrella that exists in the time period of Resident Evil Death Island is Blue Umbrella. Unless you count Umbrella Corp, which is implied to be, like, the side of Blue Umbrella that... or a previous iteration of Blue Umbrella that does illegal stuff behind the scenes. But for Death Island, it's probably just some new group, because that's usually what the movies do. It's like, Damnation had Regeneration had Will Pharma. Damnation had the Russian stuff. Vendetta had Arius. And this one will have, I guess a prison warden or something is the bad guy. Brian Irons Jr.
The song is called Over My Head.
What happened to you? You played the victim for so long now in this game.
Trying to adjust the levels here.
Is made of fiction and I'm following the same.
Yeah, alright.
To make sense of this mess I'm in.
I always like calm acoustic versions of songs. It helps relax while working. This red, I'm better off dead. This hypocrisy beginning to get to me. I'm not concerned.
Why look to me 'cause I don't believe in fame. I guess you never heard.
Don't like the music video for like the original version of this song because they have like all these inserts of concert scenes that mess up the audio and stuff. Well, I hope you have a good night, Handgun. It's been wonderful to have you here. You have a good night, unless I see you later on Discord. My mistake, the human race.
Who said it was easy to put back all these pieces? Who said it was so easy to put back all of these pieces?
Yeah, Doko here. I always end up giving him these just blank expressions, like just big dots for eyes and stuff. In the background it works because it's like less detail in a background character, but for this it just conveys the whole empty-headedness of him. Ah. Yeah, he has all this goop on him because in the panel up above, at like the... Why does this keep resetting? Up here you can see that he ends up getting into this cotton candy machine swirling around. And so he either gets tossed out or the guy that's at the booth just throws him out and he has all this cotton candy splattered all over him. Well, that is the Resident Evil world, Bowyer. It is full of organizations that'll just sacrifice humanity for profit or their own crazy agendas. It's harder to find the organizations that actually help people in that universe. They are there, though. BSAA is the biggest one. My name is Doko Rapilzo. Dang it. Don't want to do that. Just want to adjust the size of the eraser. Nope. Have not seen Murder Drones yet. I was thinking about it, but never found time to, because I've just been working. And when I haven't been doing that, I've been helping Grandma out with stuff. And body donation emails and things like that. Morphine type thing. All that stuff. Okay. Yeah, just the last 3 days feel like they've just been this one comic page to me. I'm ready to be done looking at this page. Ay, Yeah, usually when I get done drawing in the blacks is when I take a break, and then after the break, I come back to recolor it so that all these white lines and stuff in the blacks are gone. Because it usually takes like 2 or 3 hours to do the blacks. And it's a long time of just sitting and just drawing. Doing nothing. But I got music here. I can listen to music. What do I want to listen to? Oh, this is a classic. Yeah, I find snow areas in video games usually have pretty relaxing music. That or very ambient music. Or both. A combination of the two. I am so astounded that the connection is working still. I fully expected it to just die within the first half hour. Oh, here's that building. This was the restaurant they ate at 2 comics ago. For them, it's... well, for me, it's been like, I think, a year since I drew this, though. It's been like 1 night since they last saw it. Because the tournament is taking place over the course of like 1 day. Yeah, usually in the comic, the first saga happens over the course of like a month or a few weeks, I think. And there's like a month or a few weeks between the first comic and the second comic to begin with. But these 3 comics that I've been doing are just like over the course of 2 days is what the story is. The next saga is going to go back to like weeks of adventuring. A lot more environments that there'll be. This keeps switching back, and keeps switching back, and I do not like it switching back. It makes it harder to operate. Wish this was like the GIMP on my other computer. Little king shadow symbols up there. Very important character, as well as a very prominent character for the adventures back then. King Shadow, the would-be ruler of the world. Oh, I gotta add kanji there also. Yeah, it's the worst part is just always looking at this while you're making it and realizing how much stuff you still have left to do. It just makes it feel like, oh my god, I'm never gonna get this done. Why don't I just stop? But then if you do that, it's not gonna get done. So you keep going. I imagine Grandma's probably putting her hearing aids in at this point to hear the TV. So much blackening. Yeah, this... I forget what the kanji, like in this black area here, says in Japanese. I think it just says buffet, since that's what this is. I believe the kanji I wrote on the door here says enter. A lot of times I'll look up what kanjis there are, and then forget what they say after I've made the comic. But usually it's just background things that are just sort of there to add atmosphere and make it look nice. Because heaven knows that the standard American exit open sign usually is not as attractive looking as Asian characters. Okay, I think I got that. Alright. Alright, I still have to do the entire sky here. Wonderful. Incredible. Well, at least this is all getting done at once. And this gives the people that want to know a look into how the comics are actually put together. I guess if you ever want to try your own. I don't know if I would suggest this method. It's just sort of what I've evolved to have my method be. I never knew how to actually do it. I just sorta did it and put it together in my head how to do it as I went over the years. It's changed here and there a bit. Goes a lot quicker now than it used to. And it looks a lot nicer now than the comics used to. I can't wait to get done with this comic and go back and remake the first few comics. Make it so they don't look like garbage anymore. And as I remake them, start publishing them and stuff. Ugh. Mouth is getting very dry. Throat getting dry. And then I'll add in stars afterwards in the sky. That usually comes at the very end, though, the little tiny details like that. Yeah, it takes a lot of work to do a comic, Daniel. If you do it, you just gotta stick with it. It'll eventually get made. If I were a sane person, I would just do my normal pictures, but since I actually want to tell a adventure that's an ongoing story and not just write it out as words, this is my way of doing it. Something to keep me preoccupied for the next few decades. Ah, there's the oak. There we go. Vallato. Doko looks all confident here. Not usually his type of expression. Usually he'll have a more innocent-looking smile, but since he thinks he's figured out where his friend Stacy is, he's got a more smirking, cunning face to him. Hey, Mac. I tore down this I-beam from up there. Doko, that's a stand. You need to put that back. Yeah, Doko is just one of those innocent idiots that's a bit dangerous to be around sometimes. Mech and Tesley would just run away in fear. This is... I do like the type. My Windows 7 is more, it feels more clunky, and I've adjusted to that over the years with the tablet, but with this it's a more immediate feedback, where it just runs smoothly and I can do it at whatever speed. It's not something you notice unless you're paying attention between the versions, though. But it is affecting how this is being drawn. Oh well, if the characters had Pokemon, Doko He'd probably